curious question for you. What makes a good podcast? In your opinion?
As a listener? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it kind of would be both. I guess it depends on what kind of podcast you're listening to. Like if you're, a lot of Gimlet podcasts are very produced, and Gimlet is now, I believe, owned by Spotify, are very produced. They go down and do a ton of research and go down this like rabbit hole of stories, and you got the music and you got the different voices and all of that. And then there's other ones like a Call Her Daddy, which is a sex podcast. But for Call Her Daddy in particular, I think what makes that one so good is A, people like hearing about sex. B, people like that she's so open. And C, she's just confident and weird. Like, she'll come on there and be like, "What's up, daddy gang? It's your single father." And she's got all these different voices and such, but hers isn't very produced, not in the sense of like where you've got layers of music and all this stuff. It's her. So yeah. I think it depends on the kind of almost like genre of podcast. I'd say personality, also production, if it's applicable in that sense. And ultimately, I think it's the content. If the content is good, then of course I want to listen. But it just totally depends, because there's so many different niches, so many different interests. So it depends. Like, what's his name? The guy from The Parent Trap, I'm pretty sure. Dennis Quaid. Quaid. I think Dennis Quaid. Is he from The Parent Trap? I think so. Anyway, he hosts a pet podcast. It's literally, I think, called The Pet Podcast. And I never would have expected that from him. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I found out, and obviously, but like I'm very into animal rescue and just being kind to animals and everything. So somehow I ended up learning about his podcast, but that's just like such a niche, so
sure.
That's my opinion, is that there's so many different ways that podcasts could be good, but ultimately the content needs to be good, like regardless.
Yeah, which is such a broad answer, but like in the sense of like it's so hard to like what is good content. Well,
Who's listening?
Exactly. That's a great point. But it's a question I like to ask, because I like, you being somebody that creates podcasts, I've had actors here on the channel, and I was like, what makes a good actor? Like, what is good acting? It's just interesting to hear people's different opinions on what is good in being an industry in the industry, an industry professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and let me be clear, I'm still freaking learning.
Sure.
I'm only on my season 2 of this, so these are my answers for where I'm at now. A year from now, 5 years from now, it could be very different.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And hopefully they are, honestly, because that means you're growing and changing.
Yeah, evolving.